BBC Hooniverse.
K9 has been a topic I talk about not that regularly on the Tom Mason universe, but I do talk about I have talked about a lot in the past. This week I've released 2 videos on K9, and this will be our swan song for K9 for quite a bit. K9 the universe is talking about the fact that we've got Classic Who K9, New Whoish K9, Seven Day Adventures K9, K9 the Australian series, and K9 the spin-offs that never made it to public eye. So Bob Baker, who seems to, and I don't know this as a fact, that's why I say seems to, own the rights to K9, he's the voice of K9. It sort of means that anything that K9 does, he's involved in. So Australian K9 and the spin-offs that aren't Sarah Jane Adventures or Classic Who were his invention, were him. So he wanted the Australian K9, if I remember this rightly, he wanted the Australian K9 to be a part of the universe at the time the Doctor Who canon. But then, I think, if I remember rightly, that deal fell through, and so obviously Channel 5 and Disney got involved, and not, I think it's ABC in Australia. Could be wrong on that one. I don't sound too convinced, and I'm definitely not. So, what it means at that point is K9 was going to have his own life. So he had a redesign for the Australian series, but then he was going to go back to his normal design for Timequake, I think it was called, if I remember rightly. And I think that that's what makes it really fascinating, that there was so many unutilized projects with the character that we'll never get to see them unless some miracle worker goes, right, have you got the script for Timequake? Well, can we adapt it into a Doctor Who episode and K9 appear in that, so we can still use the essence of Timequake, but we're really just making a Doctor Who episode to reintroduce the character, so that if you wanted to make Timequake in full in its original capacity, then you're more likely to be able to do it with us, the BBC, than you would independently, which is what it seems you've been doing for years, and we've not got an issue with this. Just something you need to think about, Bob Baker. And I think that that's what makes it really interesting, is that no one realised at all that that is what was happening, really. And you have to sort of look at it in the sense of, oh, right, that makes sense now. And if you look really, really deeply onto the internet about K9 and Timequake, I think it's called, you will see a convention or a panel that they did on stage where they showed some animation tests of the K9 Timequake, which, because K9, in some aspects, could be a physical being in the room, because it's just a robot really at the end of the day, or it could be CGI'd to oblivion. So it really depends on what the necessary need is for. But when you watch these clips, you sort of see what they were trying to get at. And I can see where it could be popular, but I don't know the dark side of Timequake and why it never made it further than it did. And I do hope that one day we get to see the script at least. Rather, if we'd never get to see the visuals, that's fine. But if we see the script, couldn't be finished, turn that into a audio drama. Possibly. I would listen to K9 Timequake, the audio drama, based on the concept of a feature film. I think that would make it more, well, that would make it interesting, and that would show the audience more of what they were missing. It's missing stories per se, but it's more missing spin-off that was being produced and animated and all this and the other, than had to be halted. Hopefully one day one of those people online will make one of those videos. History of K9, in brackets, not the film with Tom Hanks, in brackets, not the dog, close brackets, and I think that would be an interesting concept, an interesting video, and an interesting way of looking at K9 as a whole. I wouldn't do that because I make drama, Doctor Earthbound, comedy, Doctor Whatever Found Them Do, Doctor What, serious nonsensical things that I couldn't tell you what category it is. Huonori, Time Vortex, Doctor Who News, Whovian News, sorry. They're 3 examples. And I think that that's not my cup of tea anymore, because I'm trying to produce more in the sense of drama, comedy, rather than discussion, which is what I do here, which is fine, but I just don't want to be doing that for the rest of the time on the internet whilst it's still knocking about. So, overall, as a recap, I think that the K9 universe, going from Classic Who to New Who to Sarah Jane Avengers to K9 Australia spin-off, and the possible rumoured clip shown disappearance of Timequake. I think the character Australia, we obviously know about the costume, about the body change, but at least give the original design at the beginning and then alter it. I think that's what works really well, and I like that if you really look deeper into it, there's a canon there of which version of K9 in the timeline this is, even though he doesn't regenerate by generating all that nonsense. He still has a timeline of the different versions, the different genetic build-up. So, there we have it. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.
Don't forget to subscribe to the official Tom Mason YouTube channel.